we're going to talk about the third step, the third pillar, and steps to success. If you recall, number one is foundation. Your foundation. Your development. Your childhood. Your family. Your coaches, your teachers. Your ambitions. Your goals, your dreams. The next step is number two, mastery. Mastery is basically perfecting your career, your life, taking steps towards your dreams. And mastery could take 15 to 20 years. You could get stuck there too. You could be content. You could be complacent. You could be depressed. Things change. Your health might change. Your personal life might change. And that's where you pick the right horse. What do I mean by picking the right horse? The right horse is picking the right partner, the right spouse, the right corporation, the right business that you're going to be working in, the right career. There could be changes, all right? So that 15 to 20 years is pretty heavy duty. The third step and pillar to success, it's transformation. Transformation is pillar 3. Transformation is really your transitions, your steps to your dreams, your passions, your expertise, and you want to continue on. So transformation is really changing your life. We could call it transition. You could call it change. Changes in your life during that 15, 20 years could really make something happen. In other words, you could go through a divorce. You could lose your job multiple times. You're probably in the 22 to 45 range, maybe the 50 range at the latest. And some people just wait too long. They have regrets. Or, like I mentioned, you're content. You're happy where you're at. Well, that's up to you. I identified my foundation years ago, and I perfected my mastery and my expertise and my love of business, strategy, and connections, dealing with people. When I was in college, I really wanted to be a businessman, but I didn't want to do the work. I wanted to play hockey. If you played hockey, you had to do the work, show up for school, 8 o'clock classes. Guess what I learned about hockey? Teamwork. I learned about coaching. I learned about positioning and strategy. I really looked at the team players. I looked at the players that were, what should I say, possibly overconfident of their capabilities, or their selfishness of not playing as a team, or a diva. I mean, I saw all that, but I also saw the coaches and who the coaches favored and who they didn't favor. And I was not a favorite, believe me, okay? So I had to fight for every inch. But I wanted respect from my teammates. That's what mattered to me. So that's something that you're going to have to look at in your life. There's a lot of adversity as you're growing. There's a lot of competition, especially in business. This is when you have to start recognizing if you're not progressing every 3 to 5 years in your career, no matter where you're at. A small family business, you could be part of the family. It's not easy. And I've gone through all of it. And believe me, as I matured, as I went into my transformation, I was forced many times to make a change. I didn't like it. I didn't like changing. But guess what? I was divorced and had 3 kids. And so I was all about, okay, I got to make a livelihood for my children. It was tough because when you're divorced, you got two households. Okay? I'm not trying to say I regret it or feel sorry for myself. I'm just letting you know you're going to go through changes in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and it's only going to be more difficult if you don't live your own life. And many people don't choose their own journey. They could say, you know what, I want to be like Mike, or I want to be like this, or I want to be like that, or I want a gold mine, or I want to win the lotto. I want to be a millionaire. Today it's a billionaire, a trillionaire, or whatever it is. Guess what? You got to work for it, no matter what. But you're going to suffer with relationships when you're a leader. So this transition of transformation and transition and change, it actually starts before you actually make the decision to do something. And if you don't make the decision, someone else is going to make the decision for you. I have family that were forced to retire. They were even union guys. And they said, hey, there's no more union. Go look for a career. It's really hard to let go, isn't it? It's really hard to let go in anything, even in a divorce. If a divorce isn't healthy, you wish it could turn around and it's going to be better and so on. It's very hard. Very hard. And when you're, in a transition and transformation, there's always a lot of pain. A lot of pain. And for you to get through that pain may be another 2-3 years, because you're not going to really start all over again. You're going to have to take what you've mastered and make changes, and you're still not going to be good enough. You're going to doubt. You're going to have a lot of doubts. I've been in the merger and acquisition and buy-sell of businesses for 25 years. In the first 25 years of my career, which is 50 total in business, I did my own deals. I bought, sold, grew businesses, went through a divorce, raised kids, committed to my business, my employees, my children. They all came first. When did I come in? When I slept nights alone and worried about the next day? It was God. God got me through this. But I needed to suffer and learn how to move ahead. These pillars, you're going to have your own definition of a foundation. You're going to have your own definition of mastery and transformation. And I've changed my life multiple times. And then I always felt like I was screwed over. I felt like somebody cheated me. There was no justice. There's no righteousness. But you know what I learned later on? It was the best thing that happened to me. It was the best thing that happened to me. Because then I was forced to change and look at a different dream and change. So, transformation, when you get to that point, you're a leader. Because you're going to have 20 years of growing up, 20 years of learning your trade, and then you're in your 40s and 50s. And then you're going to be helping your children. You're going to be helping your employees, or people are going to follow you. You're going to become a follower of other leaders, because you're going to learn from everyone. And with today's social media and so on, you know who the players are. You know who the leaders are. I was never impressed with athletes. And I was never impressed with money to the point where, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a trillionaire. I want to be a millionaire. Back in my world was millions. Today, it's different. And how do you get there? Do you get there through technology? Do you get there through investment? Do you get there through fraud? You get there through politics? I mean, that's what we're learning today. Politics is a business. And like President Trump will say, it's a dirty business. I'm giving you a heads up. And I had the gift and the luxury to be able to gain freedom and independence through mentorship. I had some great mentors. These guys and women were about integrity, ethics, taking the high road. That's what my propose to you is, just do the right thing, man. Keep your promises. My transformation, when I wasn't dependent on money, I was at the point where I knew my purpose. My purpose was people, integrity, relationships, connections, thinking, strategy, offering value, understanding processes, manufacturing, going global, faith, having trust, having the right mentors. When you get into the transformation, you're going to know. You're going to know where to go. Now that I'm in my 70s, it's like, okay, what's my next step? And that's what this is. This is my next step, which is pass on my knowledge. And if there's something I can do for people, education, encouragement to others, nonprofit, and the last is to empower people. If you could empower people. My hardest role in life to follow up on was not myself in my career. It was raising my children and making sure that they were good people and that they were responsible and accountable adults. And that's what they are. And now they have children, which are my grandchildren, that I hope these videos, they'll know who Papa Rock was. And Papa Rock's philosophy, values. And it's hard to do the right thing, man. It's hard to do the right thing. And now, here I am teaching other people, non-family members that come to me through social media asking me for tips. So guess what I give them? I give them homework. And I find out in a very short amount of time what type of homework they're going to do and how serious they are. Over 95% don't do the homework. Tough to do the homework. An analogy I'll use is athletes. Once they make the NFL, the NHL, Major League Baseball, these big sports, and they become an overnight sensation, they get drafted, they have a couple good years, they make some big money, and then guess what happens? The competition, it's a business. You're dealing with agents. You're dealing with competition. You're dealing with a business. And these superstars, after 20, 30 years, you wonder, first of all, how they can do it, but why don't they let go? It's a hard transformation to go from a superstar to a regular person, a normal person. You know what's kind of cool is when you get these big guys, as example, who would be Michael Jordan, okay? He's transitioned. Shaq, he's transitioned into an entrepreneur. Tom Brady, entrepreneur. A-Rod, learning from his investors how to be an entrepreneur. Not that they have the money. They're taking a lot of risks. But it's competition. Tiger Woods, he went through a reputation integrity crisis. He still might be in it. You don't know. So if you could have these baby steps of doing all the right things, because you're going to go home in a transformation. And believe me, it takes time. You're going to cry yourself to sleep many times. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear going through change. And who's going to love you anymore? That was one of my biggest deals. When I sold my first business, my biggest fear is I didn't have any brick and mortar around me after 17 years. I had no friends because I was bought out. Yeah, I had a few bucks. Doesn't matter. I was so-called family business guy, became an entrepreneur on my own, and could have lost everything. But I stuck to it. Kept going to school, kept reading. I kept at it. Didn't know what was going to be around the corner. Now, I'm helping people around the corner, saying, listen, step 1, step 2, step 3, stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. I can see, I can feel. It's like picking my own team, which I've done. I've picked, and that's where sports came in. I could pick the right people to do the right job. And that's what we talk about, picking the right horse. The first one you have to pick, the first right horse you got to pick is yourself. And say, I can do this. I can do this. Then, when you match up, you start working with other people. The foundation, the mastery, the transformation is very hard. And what I've learned with founders of entrepreneurs after 30, 40 years, it's really hard for them what we call post-transaction, which is they sell their business, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do because it was all about them. Their image was so involved with the business, they just couldn't let go. What I see with people is there's failure at that point because the only thing they got left is their money. And the money doesn't count. They didn't realize they got a partner, which is Uncle Sam in the United States. Got tax consequences. And that's the difference between the United States and other countries that I visited. The United States founders and entrepreneurs, they have 3 choices. Die with their business, which I've seen. Number 2 is family succession, but they don't realize how long it takes and who's interested. And then the other option, if they pick the wrong family successor, they could run the business into the ground. There's very few, statistically, that have continued on with a family business. Okay? And the third one, basically, is, hey, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm the most arrogant person in the room. And I'll just liquidate. And no one's interested in buying it. That's what that says. Because there was no succession plan, no exit plan, no growing the company for others. We call that potential. There was no potential. And today's buyers are very sophisticated. Very sophisticated. And they're not entrepreneurial. Most of them, the trend is private equity, family offices. But the first thing is they don't know who's going to run it. And they fail. That's where private equity, 7 out of 10 deals fail. So that's my session on transformation. Okay? The 4th step, which will come up later on, is independence. Because independence, that transformation is another 5-10 years. Then you get into independence, which could happen during number 2 and number 3 pillar. However, it depends on how you're going to utilize it, how you're going to pass it on. And the last pillar is your wisdom that you've gained and your legacy. What do you want to leave behind besides money or your art or your music or whatever? The best thing to do that I've learned is to pass it on to others, like people have passed on to me. So now my role is to pass it on to others. I got 2 or 3, I call them internally, I call them mini rocks. M-I-N-I in my name, rock. Mini rocks. Why? Because I see myself in them. And that keeps me young. I feel like I'm in my 40s doing the same deal, but guess what? I'm picking my team. And I want them successful. I'll do anything to make them successful. Gentleman I'm working with right now, he's in the mastery. He's got his foundation. Now he's on his mastery. 33, 34 years old. He might have another 10 years. But he's in the right position, man. He is an all-star, and that's all it takes. And I'm trying to teach him to become not only an all-star, how to build his own all-star team, because I've done it. And every guy that worked with me and woman that worked with me in my first 15 years, they've all started their own businesses. They're all successful. They're in second generation. I am so proud of that. They probably don't even know how proud I am that I helped these other people. If you have any questions, give me a shout. You know how to get a hold of me. Rock LaManna. And please subscribe, listen to my YouTubes, get me some questions and so on, because I'll just kind of expand on those too. Okay? So God bless. I'll talk to you soon.